Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you a very nice striker gameplay on the map Seatown in a ground war domination. But before I get into any part of Call of Duty related talk, I just want to explain what's going to happen this week, because unfortunately I'm going to be out pretty much 90% of the day on Tuesday and all of the day on Wednesday. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to upload a video on Wednesday, but what I am going to go and try and do is try and sneak a video up in the morning on Tuesday for you. But if I don't, I apologise in advance, but there's not really anything I can do. I'm going round to a friend's house and he hasn't got any internet because he's just moved in, so I can't even pre-record and upload around his house like I would normally, so that sucks a little bit. But if I do miss out, don't worry, I'll fit extra videos in around so you won't miss out in the long run. But you know what I wanted to talk about in this gameplay, because over the last couple of weeks I've talked quite in depth about Seatown and using shotguns on this map. So what I wanted to do this week and this video is talk about the Perk 3 tier slot, because in my opinion the Perk 3 tier slot is the tier slot with the most competition. You know, there isn't really a weak perk in there. So what I was going to do this gameplay is run through the perks in there, when I would use them, and what are my favourite perks to go for, because you know, you're faced with such a myriad of competition in Perk 3, you're not really sure which one to go with sometimes. So let's get straight off the bat with Marksman. Now, Marksman is a fantastic perk for long range, because obviously when you aim down sights with Marksman, the enemy's name pops up above them in distance. So even if you can't see the enemy himself, you can aim by aiming in the centre of his name just below it, and you can get kills where literally you haven't seen the guy. And there's plenty of times where I've done that, and in gameplay before, you know, using assault rifles or sniper rifles, you can just zoom in, see the guy's name and kill him very nicely. But one of the big problems with Marksman is that Assassin Pro counters it. So you see a lot of people camping in the corner with Assassin ACR silenced. You know, that is the big problem with Modern Warfare 3 in my opinion. A lot of people use Assassin, a lot of people use silenced assault rifles, and that cancels Marksman out, and that is a real shame, because I don't think Marksman should be cancelled by Assassin. Assassin already does far too much, but you know, Marksman is still a very good perk if you're running in a lobby where a lot of people aren't using Assassin. But if you are in a lobby where a lot of people are using Assassin, Marksman is pretty useless. So whilst it is a very useful perk to run, sometimes, you know, the vast majority of the time I look at something else now, because so many people have got Assassin now unlocked, so many people run it all the time. A lot of the time Marksman is pretty useless to run. So that bringing on to the next perk, Stalker. Stalker is a very useful perk when you're being aggressive, especially with SMGs, because as you know, Stalker's main benefit is the faster movement speed when you're aimed down sights, and because you get such a big accuracy bonus when using an SMG through aiming down sights, it really is fantastic, because you can get your sights up nice and early and move pretty quickly around corners. So when I'm using an SMG, I tend to lean towards Stalker now instead of Steady Aim, because Steady Aim is a fantastic perk. As most of you know, it improves your hipfire accuracy, but when you're using an SMG, that perhaps isn't the best thing to do. You are so much more accurate when you aim down sights, and if you pair quick draw with Stalker, for example, you turn into an absolute beast with a submachine gun. However, the one time I would use Steady Aim over Stalker is using a shotgun like I am in this gameplay, for example, because as most of you guys know, shotguns do not gain any accuracy bonus at all from aiming down sights. You know, they are still just as inaccurate as you were hip firing. So what you want to do with a shotgun is improve your hip fire, because the vast majority of the time when you're using a shotgun, you're gonna be shooting from the hip. So using Steady Aim really is the way to go with shotguns. And Steady Aim's secondary ability really is fantastically useful, because it enables you to get your weapon up faster after you've been sprinting. Now if you are using a shotgun, you're being ultra aggressive, you want to get in the enemy's face and you want to close that range down, because like I've said many times before, the shotgun is the only class of weapon that has a limited range, because you can hit someone across the map with a pistol, but the shotgun's pellets will disappear 15 meters away or whatever. So you want to close the range as fast as possible. But the big problem with sprinting in Call of Duty is it increases the time it takes you to get your sights up. So Steady Aim Pro really is the way to go with shotguns, because not only can you close that range down much faster, when you do turn the corner and run into someone, the pro benefit means you're not caught with your pants down. You can get your gun up nice and fast and be able to kill him. So if you are using a shotgun, Steady Aim is the way to go. But you know, the rest of the perks in the Perk 3 slot really are slightly more finesse perks, because things like Steady Aim, things like Stalker, you really understand their benefit. You know, nice and easy hip fire, better aim down sights, you know, all of these things are very, very simple. when it comes to sit rep and dead silence, you know, they're a little bit more of a finesse perk. And what I mean by a finesse perk is something that you don't get the advantage of all of the time. You know, if you're using steady aim, pretty much every single gunfight you're going to get the steady aim bonus, because the chances are you're going to run into a guy, start to hit fire him, and then slowly aim down sights, because that's what I normally do when I'm using an assault rifle or an SMG. If I turn the corner and see someone, I pull shoot before I pull aim down sight, so at least some bullets are going down range. So if you do choose to use steady aim on an assault rifle, you're going to get the gunfight bonus that it offers 99% of the time. When you're using dead silence, for example, which makes you silent and reduces the effect of recon, which I think is fairly useful but not that useful, you're not going to get that all of the time, because when you're in a ground war lobby, for example, like this, having silent footsteps really isn't that much of an advantage. There's so much noise in the background that it is very, very difficult to, even with a decent headset like I've got, it's very, very difficult to sound toward people, because there's kill streaks going off, there's grenades going off, there's, you know, 18 people firing their weapons. It's very, very tricky to actually accurately sound towards someone. So when you're in a ground war lobby, or even in the regular 6v6, things like dead silence and sit rep really aren't that useful, because, you know, the whole point of using these perks is to make it easier to sound toward people, because sit rep's benefits are, firstly, it highlights enemy explosives and tactical equipment in red, and that is fairly useful, because if you look into the distance, you can actually see a tiny little red claymore or a tiny little red IMS, and you can begin to understand the whereabouts the enemy team is. So, for example, if you're up against a lot of people who are camping with assassin in the corner with a claymore, you can use sit rep to have a rough idea where he is in that room. It's not quite as precise as using recon, but it is a decent way to find out where the enemies are. But the fact of the matter is, things like sit rep, dead silence, they are only useful in the smaller games. And I'm thinking like team tactical or free-for-all. Those are the main times you're going to use these two perks, because it's so much easier to sound toward people in a smaller game mode, because there's less background noise, there's less just random explosions going on and random flashbangs, so you can really get a very, very accurate reading of where these people are. So that's my very, very fast run through of what I think are the best Perk 3 perks. And in conclusion, I'd like to go for Steady Aim and Stalker as my two favourite Perk 3 perks, because those are the perks that you will do well with in the vast majority of the situations. Things like sit rep and dead silence can be very useful, but if you want to go for the majority of the time, if you want to go for the safest option, what I would recommend is either using Stalker or Steady Aim, because those are the perks that will benefit you a lot more of the time. Using something like dead silence or sit rep, it's a very, very conditional perk. You're only going to get the benefit a very, very small percentage of the time, and it really does rely on you having a good headset as well. So that's my final conclusion. If you do run with a headset and you play a lot of free-for-all and team tactical, things like sit rep and dead silence will help you out. However, if you're like me, you play objective games, you like to play the bigger game modes, things like Steady Aim and Stalker will benefit you a lot more of the time. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the commentary, and have a great day.